Hey, Garrett here. Just want to run you through the ways I've learned over the last 15, 20 years to bring down the costs of restaurant, cafe, bar build outs. I've designed over 500 of them. I've owned four of my own. I've been on both sides of the table. I've seen every fuck up and every successful option out there. Um, so this is the calculator that you've got the access to. Relatively simple. We've got the low, medium, and high areas, as in low is a much lower build cost, higher is higher, and obviously for low, you're going to have less finishes, less fancy things. And high, you're going to have all the fancy things, tiles, high-end joinery, high-end lighting, etc. So let's just go through it line by line. Kitchen equipment. Obviously, the easiest way to save money on this is to get used equipment. Restaurant suppliers will tell you, equipment suppliers will tell you not to do that. They've obviously got an interest to tell you that. It has merits at times. If you had all the money in the world, yeah, sure, don't buy used equipment. It has its downfalls in the sense that, yeah, you got to make sure you've got repairers available. You don't always know the quality of the equipment. That being said, there are a lot of restaurant, cafe, bar failures out there. There's a lot of good equipment available for massive discounts through auctions. So if you can find it, I think it's highly worthwhile to find some secondhand equipment. Um, that can apply to hoods. The hoods you need to be careful with to make sure that they actually comply with things. So always be cautious with that you've got the right type of hood. Um, Bakeries and ovens, especially in the US, need different types of hoods to ones that have gas cooking equipment underneath it. And if you're using solid fuel, i.e., like coal or wood, that needs a different type of hood and duct as well. So, kitchen equipment used, that's one way. Two is just the old way of, playing suppliers off each other. Don't accept lump sums from suppliers. They'll always try and package everything together and hide margins within things. You want to know what each individual item costs. And then you can compare them between suppliers and you can cherry pick from them. You will be able to decide how much of that is worth it. The more legwork you do, the more money you can save. Sometimes there becomes a point, depending on where you are in your journey, if this is your first one or it's your fourth one, you've got different priorities there. Sometimes you'll spend more time trying to get the lowest price. Other times you're like, fuck it, I'll just take someone that gives me everything and I'll pay a grand or two more. Regardless, playing them off each other is basically the best way to do it to make sure everyone's competitive. When it comes to construction, so walls, ceilings, doors, paint, flooring, tiling, all of that other sort of trades that come together. The easiest way to keep costs down is less is more, right? Like, if you've got character within your building, that can be super beneficial, whether it's, some texture in the floors, some historic buildings that have certain doorways or archways or brick on the walls. The less stuff you do, the less it's going to cost. And that sounds simplistic, but obviously it's true as well. And there's a great part of design where you can have contrast, right? Things that are not overly resolved, paired back, simplistic, next to something nice and has a nice finish to it. Maybe it's a nice quality, or you can use a really nice tile, but a small amount of it next to a plainer or existing kind of brick wall or whatever it is. So you've got that contrast there between the two things. I trust that makes sense. I'm trying to do this video quickly for you. Again, I run through all this in the program, and you get my support in there, so we can always talk through these ideas. HVAC is a massive cost, and it can be a massive blowout as well. You've got pulling out your dirty air from your kitchen and from your bathrooms. You've got bringing fresh air in to replace that dirty air that's being pulled out. You've got air conditioning and heating. And the best way to save money around that is, getting a contractor that cares about that and cares about you. I mean, engineers, if it's HVAC engineers or mechanical engineers, they will always design to the best result. You've got to find someone that's can do that 80-20 for you, where you're getting 80% of the result for 20% of the cost. You don't need gold standard in the vast majority of places. You need to meet regulations and make sure your guests are comfortable. Um, so, but you also need to comply with whatever regulations you have in your part of the world. And they're all the same in a sense that you have to take dirty air out and bring fresh air in. But there are smart, cost-effective ways to do things, and the way to find those things if you don't have that knowledge yourself is talk to someone like me, or talk to someone like in your local area that knows all your codes and has been around for a long time. And if you communicate to them, I want that 80-20 result, then they can work with you to bring that cost down. Electrical, plumbing, fire, etc. The other services, again, less is more, not overdoing things when it comes to lighting, power outlets, um, anything like that, not moving power boards around the space. That gets very expensive. Ensuring that you have enough power in the site before you sign a lease. If you need to do power upgrades, it's just a financial nightmare. Um, Same with gas, making sure there is natural gas if you are using natural gas. Basically trying to change things as little as possible from what they are when you get them, and trying to keep things that need power and plumbing relatively close to each other and relatively close to the connections that they are where they are in the building. That reduces complexity, reduces the length of runs, etc., etc. And just like interjecting in the middle of there, the best way to keep all of these costs down is finding, what they call in the US, a second generation space, or an existing hospitality space that you call it in Australia. Um, that is by far and large the best way to save the most amount of money when doing these. You can do it for 75% less, because all of that boring stuff, like the hood, or at least the duct runs and the fans, the toilets, the fire protection, a lot of that stuff is already done, and you're making some minor changes to layout stuff and the finishing side of it, the lighting, the furniture, etc. You can easily save 75% of the total budget by doing it that way. When it comes to what they call millwork in US, Canada, and joinery in Australia, UK, less is more on that. That's just expensive stuff. Detailed, handcrafted, machine crafted stuff. There's some stuff on my Instagram page, and again through my program, on how you can build front counters without using expensive joinery. You can use timber or steel walls just at like a countertop height. You put a bench top on that. You can put a finish on the front, and they can be open underneath, where your fridges and your bins, your trash cans and anything else can go underneath. You don't need the highly detailed cabinetry in a lot of places, and it's not worth it a lot of the time. Furniture. Furniture, of course, you can find secondhand furniture. You can find secondhand table bases. There are ways to produce tabletops, with timber edging, and you can even use like linoleum or vinyl flooring in the middle to offset costs with some ply underneath them. There are quite a few different ways. I guess one thing is, I wouldn't skimp on tables and chairs and banquettes and booths. Like, these are the things your guests are sitting in. These are directly touch points. They don't have to be wildly expensive, but I wouldn't make them the cheapest, shittest things that you can find. Um, Permits and fees, well, that's a big part of what I do, in the sense that I show people how to create floor plans using this simple software, and how to create their design concepts, so that they can then either just go straight to a contractor and use that concept and work directly with them to bring it to life in that floor plan, or they can go to a designer or like, a basic draftsperson or architect and go, hey, I need all the permit stuff. I don't want you to do any of the design work. Just get me the permits. Or you could even go to a designer and go, hey, this is what I want. Can you do all the detailed stuff? If you do have a higher budget, but you just want to be in control of those designers. When it comes to other stuff, small wares, signage, styling, well, yeah, I mean, you need your small wares as in all your pots and pans and cups and glasses and cutlery and all that. You'll be able to make the right decisions around that. Signage and wayfinding, I think, is very important. Making sure that you're communicating very clearly from the street, making sure you have street presence, making sure it's clear what you offer from the street and that you stand out from other things that are around you. Paint is a highly effective tool outside as opposed to other decorative things. Again, I've got some posts on my Instagram page around that. Styling items, I think, are important. You can find a lot of them in secondhand shops, etc. Styling is things like artwork, prints, flowers or plants, pot plants, decorative items, like found items that connect to your concept. The top of my head, if you're brewing beer, there may be some old type of beer brewing equipment that could sit in a corner or on a shelf that could connect to your concept, just reconnecting throughout your space with what you're offering. If you've got a Mexican concept or Indian or whatever it is, it's bringing in elements of those cultures throughout your interior that communicate what you do to your guests. So that's it. Those are the high level things around there. Apart from that, there is working with contractors, right? Like, there are great contractors out there, great trades out there. It takes a bit of legwork, it takes a bit of figuring out, but there are great people out there that you can trust. And if you can find people that you can trust that have your best interests at heart, the ultimate way I've found to hit your budget, like, most people don't like to share their budget with people. They like to keep it to themselves and then manage everyone individually. But if you have a great main contractor or general contractor or builder or whatever you want to do, if you have someone that you can share your budget with and insist that it sticks on that budget, whilst also having a contingency in there of 10, 20% for all the things that can just go wrong that no one thinks about, they can really help you, one, be realistic about what you want. You can't get anything for free, and you can't get the high-end thing for the low cost. It just doesn't exist. But they can really use their contacts, their knowledge, their way of doing things, their reality checks to get you very close to what you want and get there on budget. If you open book it with them and you have an agreed margin, you say, hey, you can make 6%, 8%, 10% on everything. You show me all the bids or the quotes or the prices. And then you work very closely with them. That would be, in my mind, the least stressful, most proactive, most likely way to hit your budget if you've got this experienced person that's on your side that you can trust. Watch out for people that give you low prices. That's a big thing. Low prices often end up the highest prices. Low prices means things that are being missed. If you have someone come along and go, hey, it's all going to be 200,000. It's a nice round number. It's easy and quick, and they give it to you and they're very charming. Then you're in the middle of the job and they're like, oh, we didn't price the air conditioning. That's going to be another $40,000. And they say, well, you need to decide on it today or tomorrow, or else, we're going to have to put our tools down and go finish up this other job and come back once you know. And all of a sudden you can delay the completion of your job by 2 weeks. So you're under duress to approve their change order or variation for the air conditioning. And this happens so often in this industry. So don't accept low prices. If you're going to go through a tender kind of bidding process, then you have to be very, very detailed about what you want people to price for. Again, I think an open book arrangement is the least stressful, so long as you have someone who is very trustworthy. Yeah, outside of that, my program is $3,500. No, 2,500, 3.5 Australian, 2.5 US. I show you all this stuff. I show you how to use this great software. I don't even know if I've got anything open. I don't. Oh well, I've got a big restaurant open, but shows you how to pull together a floor plan for yourself using this software, how to pull together a great concept so that you visually make it all work. And you get support from me throughout your concept, throughout your floor plan. You get my feedback. You get support throughout your build. So everyone that does it is stoked with it. I've been in your shoes so many times. I've owned these things 4 times. I've designed so many of them. I know it's an issue in this industry that operators are left to fight against designers and contractors, and they're the ones that end up holding the bill. Having to pay for everything, right? So yeah, reach out to me, send me a message if you're keen to have a look more, organize a call, we can chat through things, but hopefully this has been helpful for you. And if I don't hear from you, good luck on your project.